You know, the older we get, the more we realize that health is not something to be taken for granted. It is like a quiet companion walking with us, and only when that companion leaves do we suddenly feel the emptiness it leaves behind. I want you to think back for a moment. Have you ever eaten something that seemed so harmless, but later felt your heart racing, your breath becoming heavy, or your sleep broken and restless? Those moments may feel small, but in truth they are little reminders that our body is speaking to us, even if we have not yet learned how to listen. There is a paradox here. We all believe that fruit is nature's medicine, and in many ways, it is. Fruit is packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber, beautiful gifts for the body. But have you ever considered that those very gifts, if misunderstood or overindulged, could turn into a double-edged sword, especially as the years go by, when the heart, the liver, and the kidneys are no longer as strong as they once were in our youth? Today, I want to sit down with you, slowly, as a friend would, and talk about 7 kinds of fruit that many of us love, yet which can quietly bring harm to older bodies. This is not a cold warning, but rather a heartfelt sharing, as if I were a companion walking beside you on this journey of protecting health and finding peace in every heartbeat. Let me begin with one fruit that many in Asia call a delicacy, even the king of fruits. I'm talking about durian. In Asia, it is celebrated, admired, even revered. But for older hearts, durian can be a serious challenge. Picture this: a golden slice of durian, its fragrance so strong it fills the room. You take a bite, the creamy, sweet taste melts across your tongue. Delicious, yes. But did you know that just 100 grams of durian contains 3 to 5 grams of saturated fat? It may not sound like much, but compare it to a piece of fatty pork belly, and you'll see the problem. For a heart that has worked tirelessly for decades, these saturated fats quietly add more LDL cholesterol, clinging to the artery walls like moss growing in a water pipe. One day, the flow is blocked, and the result is what we fear most: a heart attack, or even a stroke. Durian is not just rich in fat, it is also loaded with sugar and calories, about 140 to 160 calories per 100 grams. Imagine this: it is late at night and you treat yourself to a few slices. The taste is so satisfying that it is hard to stop. But soon, the sugar rush makes your heart beat faster, your blood vessels tighten, and you may feel restless, anxious, unable to sleep. Those with heart disease or high blood pressure are especially vulnerable to this effect. Someone once said to me, "Doctor, I only eat a few slices at a time. What harm could that do?" And I replied with a question of my own. Do you really want your heart to work overtime all night long just for a few minutes of pleasure? Durian is not the enemy, but for older adults, it must be placed in its proper place. Eat only a little, avoid it at night, and never mix it with heavy protein meals or alcohol. Why? Because that combination is like creating a chemical storm inside your body. Fat, alcohol, protein, and sugar all entering the bloodstream at once, forcing your liver, kidneys, and heart to work at full capacity. At 60 or 70, our bodies no longer have the strength to weather such storms. I know you might be smiling right now thinking, that sounds too serious. I've eaten durian my whole life and nothing has happened. But I want you to pause and listen to your body. After eating durian, have you ever noticed your heart beating faster, your sleep becoming restless, or a sudden flush of heat running through your body? If you have, that is your body whispering to you. Now, you might be surprised when I bring up bananas. For as long as we can remember, bananas have been considered one of the safest fruits. They're cheap, easy to find, convenient, and rich in potassium, which is so important for our muscles and our heart. But here's the thing. That very richness in potassium can be a double-edged sword, especially for older adults. Think of it this way. Our heart is like an orchestra, and each beat is a note created by the delicate balance of electrolytes: potassium, sodium, calcium. If there's too much potassium, the music falters, the rhythm slows, the beat becomes irregular, and in extreme cases, the music could stop altogether. Sounds dramatic? Perhaps. But I've met older patients who landed in the hospital simply because their potassium levels spiked too high from eating bananas every day. In younger people, the kidneys can easily flush out extra potassium. But as we age, that system weakens, especially if you already have kidney problems, or you're on blood pressure medication, or taking potassium-sparing diuretics. Suddenly, one banana, with its 400 to 450 milligrams of potassium, becomes a burden. And if you add 2 or 3 more in the same day, it's no longer harmless. Think back. After eating a banana, have you ever felt your heart race a little, felt slightly jittery, or unusually tired? That's not random. That's your body sounding an alarm. There's another detail many people overlook. Overripe bananas, the kind with black spots, soft and overly sweet, are not the best choice for seniors. At that stage, the starch has already turned into sugar syrup, absorbed almost instantly, sending your blood sugar soaring. And those rapid swings in blood sugar are part of why some older adults feel their heart race, their hands tremble, or even feel lightheaded after eating them. One guideline I often recommend is this: if you love bananas, eat only half at a time, and pair it with something high in fiber, oatmeal, low-fat yogurt, or whole grain toast. Fiber slows down the absorption of sugar, keeping your blood sugar and heartbeat more stable. So you see, bananas aren't villains. They're like guests in your home. If you welcome them properly, in the right way and at the right time, they bring joy. But if you overindulge or ignore what your body is telling you, that guest can become a burden. Now let me ask you this. When was the last time you held a bunch of fresh grapes in your hand? Those small, plump jewels, shining with sweetness, always seem to whisper of abundance and celebration. Grapes have long been part of family gatherings, parties, or simply a light afternoon snack. But behind their elegance lies another story, one that matters deeply for older adults. The first thing to know is that grapes are extremely rich in fructose, a simple sugar that the body absorbs very quickly. When we are young, the body can usually handle fructose without much trouble. But after the age of 60, our metabolism is like a car that has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles. The engine is no longer strong, the filters are worn, the oil no longer runs smoothly. At that point, fructose doesn't just stop at giving you energy. It is quickly converted into triglycerides, or blood fats. And as those fats accumulate, the highways of your blood vessels slowly fill up, like a river being choked by silt, narrowing more and more. The result is atherosclerosis, heart disease, and even stroke. That's not all. Grapes have a glycemic index between 59 and 65, which is fairly high. This means your blood sugar spikes quickly and then crashes just as suddenly. Have you ever eaten grapes and then felt your hands trembling, your heart racing, or a strange wave of fatigue? That is the effect of blood sugar swings. For older adults, those spikes and crashes are like little shocks to the heart and nervous system. I often ask my older patients, when do you usually eat grapes? And many tell me they eat them on an empty stomach, or they toss them into fruit salads. It sounds fine on the surface, but in reality, it can be risky. Eating grapes on an empty stomach makes the sugar hit the bloodstream even faster, and fruit salads with sweetened milk, cream, or juice only add to the burden. If you love grapes, and I know many people find them irresistible, here's what you can do. Eat just a small amount, and always after a meal, when your stomach already has other food inside. That way, the absorption slows down, and your blood sugar won't be dancing up and down. Grapes are like a friend full of energy. You just need to keep the right distance, to know your boundaries. If you hold on too tightly, they might overwhelm you. But if you keep them at arm's length, you can still enjoy their sweetness without paying the price with your heart and your blood vessels. Now, picture this. It's a hot summer afternoon. On the table sits a slice of watermelon, red, juicy, sweet, and cool. You take a bite, and the freshness spreads through your body like a clear mountain stream soothing your spirit. For many people, watermelon is the symbol of summer, of simple joys. But for older adults, this fruit that seems so refreshing can also become a quiet challenge. Inside watermelon is a compound called citrulline. Citrulline relaxes blood vessels, helping blood flow more easily. Sounds wonderful, right? But imagine this. If you are already taking heart medication or blood pressure medicine, that effect is like adding fuel to the fire. Your blood pressure can drop faster than normal, leaving you lightheaded, dizzy, or even fainting. And there's more. Watermelon has a very high glycemic index, between 72 and 80. That means the sugar in watermelon floods your bloodstream almost instantly. What makes it worse is that watermelon is low in fiber, so there's nothing to slow down the process. For older adults, this sugar explosion doesn't just cause palpitations and irregular heartbeats. It can also leave you tired, weak, and dizzy after eating. I remember one patient telling me, "Every time I eat watermelon at night, my heart starts pounding, I can't sleep, and I just blame it on the weather." In reality, the real culprit was those sweet, juicy slices of watermelon. I'm not saying that older adults should completely give up watermelon, but I want you to look at it differently. Think of watermelon as a kind of luxury dessert. Just a few small pieces, and especially not on an empty stomach or right before going to bed. That way, you can still enjoy the refreshing taste of summer without turning it into a burden on your heart. You see, in life, many things that seem harmless can actually test our health. Watermelon is one of them. It's beautiful, it's sweet, it's refreshing, but it can also be a troublemaker if we forget to listen to our bodies. Now let's move on. Do you remember the feeling of peeling open a ripe golden mango? The sweet fragrance fills the air, and each slice is soft, silky, melting on your tongue. Mango carries a special kind of charm, tropical, familiar, yet elegant. But here's the truth. That sweetness is like a beautiful song, but if the music plays too long, the rhythm can wear out the heart of an older adult. One average mango contains about 45 to 50 grams of natural sugar. That's equal to 10 to 12 teaspoons of sugar. Just hearing that number might make you pause. For younger people, the body can handle it. But for someone in their 60s or 70s, when insulin no longer works as efficiently, that sugar surge quickly pushes blood sugar levels sky high. And with it comes palpitations, anxiety, a racing heart, even a deep sense of fatigue. And that's not all. Mango has a fairly high glycemic index, between 60 and 70. That means that just a few slices on an empty stomach can make your blood sugar shoot up like a roller coaster. For older adults, especially those with heart disease or diabetes, those spikes are like little shocks to the circulatory system. Picture this. You drink a glass of mango smoothie at night. Delicious, refreshing, but because it has been blended, the fiber is gone. The sugar is absorbed almost instantly, just like drinking a glass of syrup. The result? Your heart may pound, your sleep is disrupted, and the next morning you wake up feeling drained. Many people ask me, "Doctor, does this mean I should never eat mango again?" I usually smile and say, "You don't have to give it up completely. You just need to eat less, and eat it wisely." With mango, that means a small portion, maybe a third or half a fruit, and always after a main meal. That way, the other foods in your stomach slow things down, so the sugar doesn't hit your bloodstream all at once. And one more thing, never make mango juice or smoothies a daily habit. At that point, mango is no longer fruit. It has turned into liquid sugar, something your heart and your pancreas are absolutely not waiting for. Mango can still be a joy, but let that joy remain in moderation. Sometimes, a small taste of sweetness is more memorable than letting it become a heavy burden. And just like in life, more is not always better. Have you ever bitten into a slice of fresh pineapple and instantly felt that sweet tang spread across your tongue? Pineapple is truly one of summer's great gifts. It quenches thirst, aids digestion, and brings a sense of refreshment. But like any gift, if we don't know how to receive it properly, it can bring more trouble than benefit. Inside pineapple is a special enzyme called bromelain. Bromelain is well known for breaking down proteins and helping with digestion. But what many don't realize is that bromelain also has a blood thinning effect. That might sound helpful, but imagine this. For older adults who are already taking blood thinners or aspirin to prevent strokes, eating too much pineapple can make the blood too thin, leading to bruising, nosebleeds, or even gastrointestinal bleeding. On top of that, pineapple contains a lot of natural acids, citric acid and malic acid. These acids give pineapple its sharp, refreshing taste, but they also irritate the stomach lining. For someone with a history of gastritis, ulcers, or acid reflux, just a few slices of pineapple can trigger heartburn, stomach pain, or discomfort. I've had patients tell me that eating just a little pineapple at night left them awake for hours with their stomach burning. There's one more important point. Pineapple's glycemic index is fairly high, between 59 and 66. That means the sugars in pineapple rush into the bloodstream faster than you might expect, raising your heart rate and making blood sugar levels swing. For younger people, this is not a big deal. But for older adults, each of those swings is like a small wave pounding against the riverbanks of your blood vessels, wearing them down over time. So, what should we do? I don't want you to cut pineapple out of your life completely. Instead, think of it as a little garnish, not the main dish. 1 or 2 thin slices alongside a meal is enough to enjoy its freshness without overworking your stomach or your heart. And one more reminder, don't eat pineapple on an empty stomach and avoid it right before taking antibiotics, since it can increase side effects from the medication. Pineapple is like an enthusiastic friend. They can make you feel happy and full of energy, but if you let them talk too much for too long, you end up exhausted. The secret is moderation. Now close your eyes and imagine this. It's a winter afternoon, and in your hand are a few dried dates, small but plump and sticky sweet. In the Middle East, dates are treasured as the jewels of the desert, a source of energy that has sustained people for thousands of years. And indeed, just one date fills your mouth with such sweetness, it could almost replace a meal. But that very sweetness is what makes older hearts need to be careful. Did you know that 65 to 70% of a date's weight is sugar, mostly glucose and fructose? Just one small date has around 6 to 7 grams of sugar, which means that eating 5 dates is nearly the same as consuming 2 full tablespoons of refined sugar. For someone over 60, when blood sugar regulation is no longer as strong as it once was, that is nothing less than a sweet shock. Blood sugar spikes sharply, then drops just as fast, leaving you with palpitations, a racing heart, fatigue, and sometimes even dizziness. That's not all. Dates are also very high in calories, about 280 to 300 calories per 100 grams. This means that just a handful of small dates can give you as much energy as an entire light meal. For older adults who are less active, that extra energy quickly turns into fat, raising triglycerides and LDL cholesterol in the blood. And as you know, high blood fat is one of those silent enemies that leads to atherosclerosis, heart attacks, and strokes. I still remember one patient telling me, "I heard dates are healthy and full of vitamins, so every night I eat about 10 of them instead of a snack." And after just a few months, he had to be hospitalized with dangerously high blood sugar and elevated cholesterol. That story is a clear reminder that too much of anything, even the so-called golden foods, can become a heavy burden. So should older adults give up dates completely? I don't think so. The answer isn't total avoidance, but knowing your limits. 1 or 2 small dates, eaten during the day after a meal, is a safe way to enjoy their sweetness without straining your heart and blood vessels. And remember, never eat dates late at night, because that spike in blood sugar will disturb your sleep and leave you heavy and exhausted in the morning. Dates truly are a gift, but they are a gift meant for moderation, not careless indulgence. You see, fruit has always been considered nature's sweetest gift, but once life has passed its middle years, our bodies are no longer the same as they were in our 20s. These gifts, if not chosen wisely, can sometimes become challenges for the heart, the blood vessels, for our sleep, and even for every breath we take. I don't want you to leave this video with fear or worry. Fruit can still be your loyal companion, as long as you know how to honor it and place it in its rightful place. Eat less, eat at the right times. Avoid juices or smoothies that strip away the fiber. These are not just rules, they are the wisdom of listening to your body. And above all, the most important thing is listening. After each meal, ask yourself, how does my body feel? Do I feel light, calm, at ease? Or is my heart racing, my breath heavy? Those small answers will guide you toward balance, toward peace in every heartbeat. Remember, health is not something far away. It lives in the simple choices we make every day. In a slice of durian, a handful of grapes, or a bite of tangy pineapple. And if you know how to love your body, then each of those small choices becomes a brick in building a foundation of peace for your later years. Thank you for listening, for walking with me through this conversation. May you always have peaceful days, a light heart, and a body that knows how to smile.